Namaste. I'm Alakanandama, Ayurvedic doctor and principal of Alandi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style Ayurveda school in Boulder, Colorado. Well, it's been so much fun. So here's the final installment of our world tour of Diet for Planetary Health. Let's look at Italian food. What? Healthy Italian food? Is that possible? Yes, if you've been going to Italian restaurants in America, where you either get in the less expensive restaurants a big plate of pasta with marinara sauce, or in the more expensive restaurants, pay an exorbitant price for five ravioli in your plate, so you'll want the dessert. You might not understand that Italian food is actually very healthy, the real food that people eat in Italy. So, in a typical Italian meal, you would have a soup, typically a bean soup. You'd have a vegetable dish. You'd have a bread, often a semolina bread, which is really pretty healthy. And then you'd have typically a pasta dish and then a meat dish. But in my vegetarian world, the main dish is either a pasta dish or a stuffed vegetable dish, because we also don't eat as much. The idea of having the pasta dish before the meat dish was, in fact, so you'd be full up and you'd eat less meat because meat is more expensive and uses more resources. So, one thing that people all around the Mediterranean have done since time immemorial is go out and gather wild greens. Um, Dandelion greens, dock leaves. Sadananda shares very happy memories of going out with his Italian American father and the whole family. He said we'd spend all day gathering dandelion leaves, and then Dad would make a big egg salad with dandelion greens. And it was so wonderful. And that was part of his dad's Italianness. So wild greens, yes. I'll put on our recipe on the description of Italian dock and dandelion soup, which I enthusiastically made last year when I kind of got to the dock and dandelion a little quicker because I didn't have any fractures or anything. Um, so soups with wild greens. You can make pestos with wild greens. I Last year I did a dock pesto when I ran out of the basil pesto I had preserved from the fall. I used all the same ingredients, the pine nuts and the pecorino and the olive oil. I made a delicious dock pesto. You could try a catnip pesto if you want to, or other wild greens. They can all basically go in a pesto. The other day I was making some annalini and I had it planned with asparagus and mushrooms and homemade ricotta, but I just threw in the wild greens that were getting weeded up. Uh, you can always throw the wild greens in the pasta dish as well, in the soup, or just have steamed wild greens. But eat those wild greens. Bean soups and lentil soups. I told you last time how we like to make an Italian lentil soup. I also very often make typical Italian bean soups, like pumpkin and bean soup. And we still have a lot of winter squash that we grew that is still good and still hasn't been eaten. So I'm going to be making a lot of pumpkin and bean soup. I'll put that recipe in the description. Of course, plenty of olive oil. Olive oil is super healthy. Olives are super healthy, full of antioxidants. Don't believe any hype against olives. That is the multi-billion-dollar canola oil industry trying to get you not to eat olive oil. Eat olive oil. It's good for you. So it's a wonderful thing, very healthy. What you want to do is cook. Don't cook the food deep frying with the olive oil. Just gently saute it. And then you always put some of the uncooked olive oil on the top. So you get the antioxidants from the olive oil that got destroyed from the cooking. Pasta, it doesn't just have to be sauce out of a jar. Doesn't just have to be a tomato sauce. When Sadananda was coming home from our journey in India and Nepal, he had to leave before me, and I had gotten a visa for an extra month in Nepal by mistake, and he told me, "You stay in Nepal and enjoy that then." And he headed home, and he retraced his pilgrimage steps back to Assisi, where he started his pilgrimage, and there he stayed with some vegetarian Italian bachelors who were practicing Indian spirituality, and he saw how they made their pasta with loads and loads of vegetables. And then he came along and just tweaked it with a little cumin, a little anise, a little bit of the things he'd learned about cooking in India. And that is our spaghetti indiano. It's so delicious, and I'll put that recipe also in the description. There are lasagna recipes that we can have. Lasagna isn't really unhealthy if you do it right. Personally, I stay away from the cream sauces when I make lasagna, or if I'm going to do a cream sauce, I'll do it with almond milk, so it's much less heavy. Um, but I also often just make homemade ricotta and layer the homemade ricotta and the homemade tomato sauce and loads of vegetables. You'll find a couple of great lasagna recipes on our website too. And then, of course, the stuffed vegetables, zucchinis. We like them small and tender. We call those courgettes in our household. We like them normal zucchini size. We call those zucchinis in our household. And we like them really big, which we tend to call marrows because they're similar to the marrows that we were growing at home in the UK. So when they get nice and big like marrows, we can stuff them, or even when they're zucchini size, we can stuff them. So I also have my own recipe for a stuffed zucchini with pesto. So yes, you can enjoy really good Italian food. Every meal includes a vegetable side dish, a bean soup, and a main dish, which for us is typically a pasta, a baked pasta like a lasagna, or a stuffed vegetable, but with loads and loads of vegetables. And then you can enjoy your Italian food as part of a planet healthy and person healthy diet. Enjoy. Namaste. Don't forget to click the like button, and we'll see you again next week.